Okay, so when it comes to the climate crisis, which we're seeing intense flooding, we're seeing hurricanes that are worse, we're seeing higher frequencies of this crazy shit. It doesn't matter whether they try to bury the research or they try to shut people up, because the planet will not shut the fuck up. And it won't matter how many people you torture, how many people you kill or silence. The planet cannot be silenced. Gaia will just do what she's gonna do. So either get used to it, or I don't know, you can keep trying to find some way to live in the alternate reality in your head that does not is not reflected by reality. Who are you going to blame when the next serious hurricane hits the south? Who are you going to blame? How can you possibly blame a weather machine if your guy is in there? Are you going to start claiming that he's doing it or he's part of it or they're all part of it? See, that's the thing, right? If you're going to go as far as to say, oh well, it's not really his fault, then are you saying that he can't do anything about it? See, this is where you're going to get into trouble psychologically, because either are you voting for this guy because you think he can make a difference, or because you only want him to pass the laws you want him to pass or to support the policies you want him to support? But if you're gonna kind of like cry and complain and go, well, the heart machine. Well, if he's the one in charge, shouldn't he be able to find the machine and destroy it or something? And if he doesn't, and if it keeps happening, well, you going to do anything about it? You're going to go looking for it for yourself? I mean, again, this is what happens when you take on ridiculous, fantastical thinking. Because no matter how many Democrats you kill or torture, no matter how many people you fuck with who are not on your side, you are still going to have to deal with the climate crisis. It's not going anywhere. It's only going to get worse. And he will accelerate the climate crisis because of his policies, because of what he personally believes, or in this case, what he doesn't want to believe. And that's because he is wealthy, because he comes from a different economic tier. He will be more weathered from the damage. I don't know if that's the best term, but he will not experience the same level of harm that you will as a poor person, as a middle class person. And the positive to this is that when people see how powerless this guy is to stop the problem, that's when they'll understand that voting for him didn't make a difference. So that is something to look forward to, believe it or not. The positive of his leadership will eventually bottom out. It will fail. And when the consequences of his failed leadership finally get acknowledged by his own people, as well as everyone else who's already on board with that, that's when the country will finally move on from this man. It will not happen until people are all suffering and undergoing some kind of trauma. That's unfortunately the only way human beings acknowledge it. Because guess what? We're extremely self-centered creatures. I don't know what you've been like. I ran into a young man earlier on X. He really genuinely believed people were better than they were. He's been watching too many cartoons. He's been consuming too much propaganda about how people are, how about they bought. No, these are what artists want you to think people are like, okay? There is no such thing as the Green Arrow in real life. There is no such thing as Bruce Wayne. There is no such thing. The average person is self-interested. They are not, quote, good. They are not, quote, bad. They are strictly thinking about what it is that will advance their own particular disposition. That is the average human for you. That is the truth. Don't let anybody tell you that if you fly a certain cause or if you believe a certain thing, that automatically makes you good or bad. It doesn't. It's just a belief system that you've adopted. Only your actions can determine that. Not what you think or not even what you purport to believe. It's what you do. And so when the damage has been done, because again, if it just happens to me, right, no one's going to give a shit. If somebody just decides to disappear me, and, like a few months into this administration, they kill me, they torture me, no one's going to give a fuck. Or if they find out, they go, well, he did this or he did that, right? They'll believe whatever they're told. But once everybody is suffering, once no one can escape it, whatever that is, that's when it's over. So that is something to look forward to, which is human beings are selfish, but once the damage and suffering spreads to enough people, they won't care what they're being told on radio stations. They won't give a shit what newscasters are saying, whether those people are self-censoring or supporting the current administration. They won't care about any of that. You know what they're going to care about? I'm in pain and I need relief. And you know what happens when a lot of people are suffering and in pain? They take it out on the people in charge. So, it's not going to get any better. It will just get worse. And when that happens, when enough people suffer, that's when the nightmare is finally going to end. I'm sad to say that, but that is unfortunately what it will take. I know it sounds extreme. I know it sounds fucked up, but that's the way human nature is. That's the way people are. People have a tendency not to unite until they're in so much pain and suffering that they want to do anything to make the pain end. If you've ever seen somebody who's had like an extreme health issue, whether it's a migraine or it's some kind of serious physical problem, if people get to a point where it's like, I need to take meds or I'm fucked, that's when it's going to be. That's when people will come back together again and leave behind all of this conflict and hate. That won't happen until then. So don't expect uniformity anytime soon. Don't expect cooperation anytime soon. Don't expect people to get along anytime soon. Expect everything to get increasingly worse. And expect people you know and love to die or be killed or tortured, especially if somebody decides to go on a revenge tour. Well, if that's it, then that's it. You can't control what other people can do. But you can warn people about this stuff and you can tell them that that's what it takes. Because guess what? As long as you're not the one being harmed, you can think whatever you want, right? Because it's not real enough for you. So that's the thing. There's a point at which you can break the bubble of disinformation, whatever that is. When you're the one who's being tortured, when you're the one that's being killed or enslaved or whatever it is happening to you, once it finally affects you, at that point, it doesn't matter, because then you'll know who's lying and who's telling the truth. You'll know who's on your side and who's your enemy. You'll know who your allies are and you'll know who they aren't. So in a sense, that is a positive, because at least we can see the end of whatever the fuck this is, this place we've gotten to in our country. There is an end in sight, but there's going to be a lot of blood spilt. There's going to be hell to pay. There's going to be people who are going to get hurt. But there will come an inflection point. It will happen. It's just not going to be for a long time. Could take several years, could take a decade, maybe take 2. But eventually, Gaia will do her thing. She will slap the people of this planet, and they will wake up and realize, fuck. It didn't matter who I voted for. No, it doesn't. It's quite literally irrelevant as it relates to the climate. So there you go. Another positive I see coming out of this is that people can finally start to see the truth about those around them. They can start to see the just the damage that the ends justifies the means ideology has done to the human condition, to American politics, and to the world. They can finally realize the dangers that have been right in front of them the entire time. And they can decide accordingly how to best protect themselves. So when you're not aware that the danger is there, sometimes that's like the best condition for a predator to be in for what they want. Because if they can convince their prey that they're not dangerous, then they have the element of surprise. But now you know what people were willing to support. Now you know what they're okay with. Now you know what you didn't before. And knowledge, ladies and gentlemen, is power. And with that power, you can defend yourself. And if you are not aware of what millions of people in the electorate are willing to tolerate in order to get what they want, now you know. Now you know who these people are and what they're complicit in right now and what they are willing to support if it means getting what they want. In other words, sacrificing their values to win, sacrificing whatever human decency for the victory. But the victory will eventually taste bittersweet because over time, things will fall to the wayside. Despite everything that they hope, their hope will crumble because they are their own worst enemies. You cannot do any worse in this life than defeat yourself. And even though they've won today, they've established their defeat tomorrow. And so you can take solace in that the more damage that these people cause and the more shit that they do, the greater the chances are in the future of further alienation, further division within their own groups, and eventually it will reach a boiling point. And when you get to that stage, that's when you can expect serious changes. But as somebody pointed out, I saw it earlier, this country has not exited that stage yet. They're not over this yet. Whatever this is, this phenomenon that we are all currently observing and experiencing. It's going to take time for people to digest this, to process it, and then to go forward because they're stuck on repeat right now. They want more of the same. They want more of what they were getting then, whatever it was that made them feel good or whatever, or made them think, hey, this is exactly what I need in my life, if you can believe such a thing. And some people have, I've talked with a few people already. They're, not happy about it. They're upset about it. Obviously, it's valid because there will be people who will suffer for this. There'll be people who will get hurt because of this. We're not going to see an end for a while, but there is a bright light at the end of the tunnel. It's just hard to see it because right now what you're witnessing is unfortunately something that is endemic to the human condition, which is there is somebody who's coming along who is promising people a better life, who is promising them that he'll end their suffering. And that's the exact opposite is going to happen in the long run. Him and his party will eventually cause the destruction of their society. It won't matter, by the way, whether they get women to reproduce more in their countries or not. The end result is more or less clocked in. So they are the architects of their own destruction. They are the ones who have set everything into motion. They have opposed everything related to transitioning over to a green economy. Whenever somebody came along and tried to tell them, didn't want to hear it. Silence. Shut the fuck up. I don't want to hear it. I don't care. China's doing it too. Blah, 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 blah. Every which way to ignore it, to downplay it, or to outright lie about it. You won't be able to lie about it for long. Eventually, people will get wind of it. They'll figure out that, you know what? I don't care. And this is something that Republicans better fucking watch out for in the next 8 to 20 years. No amount of lying or shifting the blame is going to fill the bellies of an empty people. They will be angry. And if you do one of your little mass murders on Democrats or other groups, well, guess what? You're going to run out of people to point the finger at because if you take away their power, you have no one left to blame. See, that's the problem with assuming total control of a country is if you take away the other party or the other opposition's ability to resist you, you strip their numbers down. Well, when your leadership fails and fails hard, you won't be able to deflect the blame onto anybody and no one's going to buy it. Everybody's going to look at you and go, you fucked everything up and you fucked me over. You lied to me and now my family's starving. Now everything is being burned to the ground, being flooded out. Everything's going to hell. And when they don't find their weather machines, you just watch the fuck out. You think that you're scared of Democrats going crazy? Wait until your own voters start coming for your throat. Wait for that fucking day to happen.